but our next guest has a vast financial background. But in our tennis world, we know him as the chairman and the CEO of UTR Sports, home to the world's most accurate rating and ranking system for both tennis and pickleball. There he is, Mark Leschly, joining us on the show. How's it going, Mark? Nice to meet you. You got myself, Jeff, Coco, and Nick. Thanks for coming on to chat and watch some tennis. Have you been watching some of the tennis this week?
Absolutely. Excited to be on. Great to be here. Good
Mark, what do you like about Bublik here? I know you watch a lot of tennis, and Bublik is a crazy character, and he's finding his way back into this match. But what do you like about his game?
Yeah, I mean, he's so volatile. He's so unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
I think he hasn't been trending very well lately on our stats. Actually, his opponent, even though he's ranked much higher, is actually closer to him. So we sort of predicted this to be a pretty close match.
Well, I think I think Mark, go ahead and explain to us what the UTR is and how you came up with this idea, because you're talking about how these guys are trending up on your stats. But explain to us about what the UTR is.
Yeah, so UTR is really just a system to rate tennis players and rank them. And so what we do is we ingest results. So ATP, WTA, results from all over the world. The great thing about our system, it goes from amateurs all the way up to professionals. And what we basically look at is more head-to-head competition. Who did you play against? What was the score? And then there's an algorithm that sort of updates our system every 24 hours. So your ranking system based on points aren't always indicative of how well you're competing in any particular moment. But if you have an algorithm that's constantly updating, and it's a relative system, so we look at everybody else. And as a result, we sort of create a system where every player on the planet can be on the same scale.
Wow.
Which is kind of neat. So when we look at something like this, Bublik may have some good results from like 6 or 8 months ago, but like, how's he playing lately? And we can look at surfaces, we can look at 3 months trending things. So that's a good, fun data.
Yeah.
So when you decided to create the UTR ranking system and algorithm, why did you see the need for it in tennis?
Yeah. So the whole premise of this was not so much to focus on professional sports. It was really more to create connectivity for the average tennis player, right? So when the average player gets on a court, the most important thing is to have level-based play and get on a court with somebody who's at a similar level. And so when we created this, the idea was that whether you're young, old, male, female, across different geographies, how do we find people that you'd have more fun playing tennis with and have a better experience? So that was sort of one thing. And the other thing was tennis is expensive because we tend to travel and play based on age and gender. And now we could just get a lot more people together. And so the idea was to create this rating system, and then from there to create other technologies that could support local tennis and community tennis. And we've sort of taken a little bit of the world by storm because we help high schools, we help college, we help clubs, we help federations now really help bring technology into tennis, which has been, I think Martina actually said it nicely a couple of years ago. We started democratizing tennis, which is bringing people together. Which is great fun.
I think we got an overrule here. It looked like an ace to get to 40-15. So Bublik now 2 points away. Mark, you bring up he goes big on the second. That's nice. You bring up such a good point. I feel like tennis culture, they love to pose the questions like, how would Serena do against Andy Murray? Or how would the best college player do against someone ranked 200 in the world? Or maybe it's like, hey, how would the 50 and overs champion do against the kid who's 12 years old? Were those questions that you hear a lot from tennis fans? Is that a big impetus behind getting this inclusivity where everyone's kind of on that same system?
Yeah, I mean, I think the notion of just trying to connect more people in your local community. I mean, what we do now is, college coaches now recruit internationally. 75% of all D1 and D3 players are international players now because coaches can go all the way around the world without seeing players play. Based on our rating, they actually know exactly where they're going to fall in their lineup because it's incredibly accurate. Wow. And so it's opened up the opportunity for that. And then the other thing is to play across gender is actually pretty cool, right? And then across age. I grew up in Europe and Denmark, and as a 12-year-old playing against the older people in my club, you'd see a different ball. You'd see a slice serve, you see a bigger serve, you'd see a slice backhand, things that just make you a better player. So the more we can promote across gender and across ages, A, more fun, and B, more opportunity to play.
I want to see where I rank up against Nick and Shiz out here on my UTR versus theirs. But as we've seen, UTR put out a lot of their own tournaments, and a lot of that stepping stone tournaments for these players to be able to get into the ATP or WTA level. Did you see that there was a big need that UTR could provide?
Yeah, so originally, we were just going to have this be a direct-to-consumer app, come in, find local players to play with, provide some analytics, kind of like a Strava, and you may be familiar with for cycling and other stuff. And then what we discovered early on was that the infrastructure of tennis, the businesses, the clubs, the high schools, the colleges, just really were lacking in resources and money. So we decided to build all this kind of software to support those different clubs. And so now it's sort of become fairly pervasive throughout that people can use our technologies just to support and promote whatever type of play they want at their local facility. And it's sort of been fun to just bring technology into tennis. Originally, it was just sort of an idea. But the glue was the rating system, and it's a free rating. Anybody can get one. We rate over 4 million players right now. Wow. Every USTA league player is rated in our system. You can come in and register. It's just kind of cool. And then on the pro side, when COVID hit, we decided to have a little bit of fun. And I called up Ken Solomon at Tennis Channel. I said, listen, why don't we put on an event down in Florida? And fast forward like a few weeks, and we found a court in Florida, and we got 4 top 50 players on the men's side. 2 weeks later on the women's side, and we had a couple of drones. We had a cow in the field, and we were the first professional sport.
I remember that, yeah.
Wow.
And I went on the RSNs with Sinclair. We're 130 million homes. And then the phone kind of rang, and we said, well, look, maybe we can support pro tennis. And fast forward, about 3.5 years ago, we launched our Pro Tour. We have put out millions and millions of dollars in prize money for development players. We run 10,000 matches around the world in 28 countries. And more recently, we just announced that starting in January, we're going to more than double our tour. So we're going to run 21,000 matches around the world. We're partnering with Sportradar, who's been a great technology innovator. And this is really just bringing tremendous support to the pathway and allow those aspiring young players to have play opportunities as well as to make a few bucks on the journey that's so hard.
And the partnership with Sportradar, maybe talk a little bit more about that and how that's going to benefit UTR.
Yeah, so for us, as we start from that early junior and beginning all the way up, this going into the professional pathway and allowing collegiate players and elite junior players, as well as people around the world, part of the challenge is, Nick, coming out of college, you have no ITF ranking points. So you spend all this time and money trying to accumulate some points. Well, with us, you can go straight in our tournaments based on your UTR. Yeah. So you can literally come out of college and immediately, you based on your level that you have. Yeah. And there's a lot of collegiate players who can compete, but they have to fight to get into qualifications on ITF. Yeah. Well, here it's purely a merit-based system. And we say, look, you're good enough, you can sign up. And, our tournaments are $25,000 prize money. So it's sort of at the high end of the ITF scale. Wow. And you just sign up. We give you more of a round robin and match play, so you get a lot more play. It's not like one and out, which is sort of the ITF, which is rough, right? You go more in the middle of nowhere. So more money, more play opportunities, and then meritocracy. Isn't that what tennis should be?
Love that.
Entry level.
Yeah, we're hanging out with Mark Leschly right now, and what a reversal from Pavel Kotov. Bublik was up a double break. He also had 2 set points on his serve. Now Kotov looking to go up 6-5. Now that it's clay season, we have a lot of fun, watching umpires and players argue clay ball marks. It's ridiculous. And of course, the ATP has announced we're going all electronic line calling for the next season. I'm curious, UTR events, do they have the capability of using electronic line calling? Maybe you can give some insight of how maybe easy or tough that is to implement that, on your own tours.
Yeah, so we have not implemented electronic line calling yet. I think the price point on that technology is coming down very quickly, right? And so I think the notion of trying to create something that is as expensive as a Hawkeye type system, but at the same time allows you to to do that. We're looking to create all kinds of cool stats, innovation, video for players, development opportunities. We really want to create a much more technology-based development tour for the players. So imagine you have a vault, you can come see all your matches, you got the analytics, you got the data, we make all this available to the players. And then electronic line calling, I think, is the next thing. And I'd expect that probably in the next year to two, you're going to see that really creep into the lower levels as well.
We're seeing the UTR ratings here of Mickelson and Mahac. What do you like about Alex Mickelson's game? He's been playing some great tennis, just beat Taylor Fritz yesterday.
Yeah, so listen, I saw him down at the BMP there, Nick. We were actually together when we had that little fun exhibition there. You know, I love his mindset. Young upstart coming along, right? Just starting his journey.
So
up and down. He was a little shy in his exhibition with some of those big stars down there in that expo. But it's fun to see when the new blood comes in and they have success. It's a little bit like watching Peyton Stearns coming onto the scene. It's just great energy to see new blood. I think that's what's so exciting about the tour now, right? You got all these people that suddenly are contenders as the veterans and the legends are sort of suddenly, maybe dropping a little bit and moving to the side. So it's going to be a fun few years ahead.
Yeah, you've touched on the analytical side that tennis is definitely missing out on. And I definitely enjoyed watching the analytics and having my own little check mark in the back of my mind or in my little notebook that I kept in my tennis bag. What do you see that being the biggest benefit on? Is it more so in the Pro Tour, college tennis, junior, the club player? Where do you see the best benefit?
I think it's at all levels. I mean, when you look at tennis as a sport, we really haven't embraced analytics the way other sports have, right? So, even at the level, professional level, collegiate level, and the like, I think, typically coaches have sort of stayed away from analytics. They sort of have an instinct about stuff. And by the way, it's not that their instinct is wrong, but sometimes isn't backed up with data.
Well, listen, if the game plan doesn't work, you kind of got to look at the coach and be like, hey, your instincts were off here. You totally had that wrong.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, as a player, depending on the type of player you are, do you have the ability to sort of digest 1 thing, 5 things, 10 things, 12 things? Some people are a little bit more simplistic. We've talked to coaches. They say, look, I can tell my player 1 thing. That's it.
Make sure it's a good thing where they serve on break point down or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But ultimately, the thing about tennis is you're ultimately problem solving nonstop, right? And there's so many variables. So bringing analytics into it, I think there's some neat things coming along. Like God Analytics is one thing you guys have talked about before, and Gordon Euling. I mean, that's really neat stuff, right? And I think just looking more at data, understanding the patterns, seeing the movement, north, south, east, west, what type of shots are being hit. I mean, the notion of forced and unforced errors is a key metric in tennis. It's just a terrible, terrible limited standard.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So there's so much more we could be thinking, like what position are you in? What type of shot are you hitting? Are you attacking? Are you defending? Some of this stuff that's coming out now, I think is really going to help. And then having the video to really understand what shots to hit. And so I think it's sort of a cool, fun time to be bringing tech into the sport.
No, I couldn't agree more, because then that helps you go when you go to your coach and be like, oh, well, how many times has a coach asked you when you were in juniors, what happened when you won that match or when you lost at any level? And sometimes as a kid, you're like, I don't really know. And to be able to show them so you can actually work on something and actually have a good, productive lesson when your coach wasn't there is definitely beneficial for all players, all walks of life. So it's great that UTR is providing that pathway for a lot of these players that may not have the ability to have a coach around all the time, or at least have that many lessons. I was definitely one of those players.
Yeah. No, and look, even as you get up into that aspiring pro ranks and beyond, you guys know, the ability to really access the best in breed capabilities, it's super expensive, right? And there certainly is difference in coaches and the whole entourage now. And frankly, you got to access best in breed to have that competitive advantage. And so people have embraced that. Novak has embraced it. Roger certainly has along the way. Ivan Lendl has always been huge as a coach on analytics. It's amazing how his mind works in terms of breaking down the game. So I think it's coming.
We saw Mahoch get through over Mickelson. That's actually his first career semifinal. He was 0-4 in quarters before that. This is intriguing too right here, Mark, that we got the UTR ratings for both these players as we're in a breaker, right? Kotov, he's ranked 57 in the world. Bublik's ranked 19. But the UTRs are close because Kotov is trending a certain way, right? This is a surface that Bublik doesn't like as much as well. What about rules and scoring? We love to have talks about we have the next gen championships that do the sets to 4. In college tennis, we see them play through lets, doubles, 10-point tiebreakers. Like UTR has this Pro Tour and they have all these opportunities. We have casual events, money tournaments. Do you guys mess around with experimenting with different rules or formalities within the scoring or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, the way our rating sort of works, it's actually based on games won. It's not based on who won the match, right? Which, I've had Mary Carrillo and others sort of just chew my ear off on that one. But leaving that aside for a second, so I think this notion that a fast 4 match or a fast 4 set is that have different outcomes than a regular. We find that it doesn't. We've looked at it statistically, right? So even though you'd think in college matches, same thing. Even though there's that 3-all. No ad scoring format, it doesn't really generally change at a statistically significant level the outcome of the match.
Well, you're debunking every doubles match I ever played because I always thought the no ad scoring made the world of difference. So debunk away. I love it.
Well, it doesn't across the larger statistical base.
Just my match.
So there's always going to go. Yes.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So for us, we do ingest all those different results. We take all the results from college matches, all the junior matches, fast 4 sets, you name it, and we pull it all in. And when you're playing a fast 4 set, you're obviously playing less games, right? So it has less of an impact in aggregate than a much longer match because there's less games. But we still ingest it all.
But what about for your tournaments and your competitions? Like, has there ever been a thirst to change those tournaments with a different scoring than the typical tour tennis?
We haven't so far. I think I've spent some time with Patrick Martoglu in the early days. When he was developing his thing and trying to figure out, hey, how do we make this a more fun, engaging experience? I think if we were at the pro level trying to create a better fan engagement experience, then I think those are worthwhile things to do. It's always hard to fight traditionalism when you get down into the junior ranks and the college stuff. College has been iterating a lot for years. When I first started playing college tennis, we did 6 singles matches and then 3 full set doubles matches, and none of that was no ad scoring. And 7 hours later, you're still playing your match. So I think bringing this into a window where it gets more fun for fans and it's more exciting. I think college tennis has really gotten to a great point on that. The fact that they play 3 doubles matches, first to win 2, it's a pro set, no ad scoring, that's quick, right? Then there's no warm up jumping into singles. You're getting these college matches done under 2 hours. So suddenly it's like super exciting. And if folks haven't been at the college matches, I know we're done at the season here, but it was a really, really fun, exciting thing.
What's Iga Swiatek's UTR rating? I mean, the girl, she doesn't lose, so she's got to be just off the charts.
So let me see. I'll pull her up.
Yeah. As you're looking it up and as we watch this tiebreaker, if you can chill with us for the end of the tiebreaker, that'd be great. We can watch some tennis with you. But maybe fans at home would be curious at which ranking in the ATP is below Iga Swiatek, or maybe it's no one, And that doesn't mean someone will beat the others, but I'm sure people would like to see that.
Yeah. So Iga does have a quite higher. She's at a 13.3.
Okay.
And so she's. And the next one down is Elena right now, actually. So we actually have her slightly higher than Sabalenka. So, and she's at about a 13. So, and by the way, 300 basis point is a meaningful difference.
Yeah.
Hence Iga, and then of course on clay, that is actually her best surface. So right now she's heading right into her sweet spot based on our ratings.
Well,
and.
As we're watching this match, I mean, it's getting tight here in the tiebreaker, but one of the first rounds that's coming up is Rafa Nadal against Alex Zverev, first round of Roland Garros. What are your thoughts on that matchup, as well as Wawrinka Murray first round?
Yeah. So, we still have Rafa relatively high because, he hasn't tapered down yet in regards to our results. I mean, with Rafa, it's pretty unpredictable now, depending on what his body's going to allow him to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that, so there are these X factors. You can look at math all day long and data science all day long, but is he healthy and is he showing up?
Yeah.
He's obviously struggled a little bit with his speed and his body coming into this. But with Rafa, never count him out on center court at Roland Garros.
Right. Exactly.
That's for sure.
All right.
What about the Wawrinka Murray matchup? How does that look for you all right now?
I'll have to look at that one.
Okay.
I'll pull that one up here in a second.
But what are your thoughts on who's going to win that match?
Oh, let me see here.
Don't
I
worry,
think
no
that,
rush.
Yeah, no, I'll pull up Stan here. We'll take a look at how.
I think personally, I'm going to go Stan the man.
Yeah, I think I'm
one.
going Stan the man as well. Just with the racket change from Andy Murray, and you just maybe feel like he's just searching for something. And so is Stan. I mean, Stan is 2-7 this year. Both players kind of searching for some wins.
Yeah.
Break advantage here for Bublik.
So on paper, Andy is higher. I think that being said, on clay, Stan is much better.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it is. Oh,
Sitter to get 3 set points, but he still has the set on his racket. Wow. What do you think?
You just
Does he
never
shut
know.
the door here?
You just never know with Bublik. But he loves the big out wide here on this ad side on a big point. He's used that quite often when he's needed a point. So if you're Kotov, you probably want to shift more that way.
It seems like it's only getting drier out there, even though we've had a couple of rain spurts here and there. You can see Kotov slipping around.
Does he go big here?
Guy went T.
Does he go?
He double faulted earlier on this breaker as well. Pretty slow double.
He went big.
Definitely goes
Jeez.
big.
Oh.
Wow. 2 set points. I love how we're just using Mark just to hey, check the rankings out for this guy. Now check it for this guy. Where are you right now, Mark?
I'm in New York.
All right.
I'm out here for a few days playing in a pickleball tournament. Of all things.
I was with Mark at Indian Wells.
he
look at
aced
the
for it.
ace. I was with Mark at Indian Wells. We had Jose Garris on earlier, so we were all there together, and Mark was playing quite a bit of pickleball. We were like, Mark, this is a tennis clinic, not pickleball, but Mark was playing a lot of pickleball. And actually, I think we have a picture of you with Andre Agassi playing some pickleball. Andre showed up over the last weekend. What were some Andre nuggets that he gave to you?
Well, it wasn't so much the nuggets. I mean, the thing about Andre is just how he loves to compete. And I think he's really found joy in pickleball because he gets a really good workout and he just loves the competition. And what kind of blew my mind was how much the man still sweats. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then also he just talks trash right away.
Wow, love it.
But we played about 2.5 hours of pickleball, and we had a great time.
Did you take him
He's
down?
such a nice guy. So I played mostly with him,
Okay.
so I was smart enough to do that. But that backhand in the middle is pretty good.
That's the best. That's the best way to go about picking your partner. Is you gotta find who's better than you out there, and that's how you get a good doubles team.
At what age did you start playing, and then you went on to play at Harvard as well, and then we pulled up your professional tennis ranking in the 400. So kind of walk us through that journey of tennis for you.
Well, I grew up in a tennis family. My dad was a very good player. He was a top 10 player in there, and he was a semifinalist at the Open. And so that was kind of my thing, and grew up with the wood racket and then jumped into college tennis, played pro. I only played a little bit less than a year before my rotator cuff blew out. So my journey was limited, but had a great experience and huge love for the game.
So good.
These are some great pictures. Before we let you go, we always ask players and coaches about their goals for the player or maybe for the coach. But for the UTR, you've done such a great job, so much progression. Do you have any goals, hopes, or visions that you'd be down to share with us for UTR Sports?
Yeah, I mean, our number one goal is just to help the game, right? Like I've been fortunate in my career that, I'm doing this as a passion play. And when you can bring something like a passion and a love for a game and then bring your expertise to it. So we're doing stuff on the foundation side. We're supporting players. I just love to bring tennis into the next level and support the game long term. It needs help, you know, so I do that.
So cool. We appreciate your perspective and what you're doing, and we've had fun I think we want to delve more into the rankings after you hang up here because there's a lot of intriguing things to check out. So thanks for coming on, and hopefully we can hang out again soon on our Second Serve coverage.
Always a pleasure.
Mark,
nice
good luck.
Good
luck in the pickleball tournament. Take him down.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Let me know if you need me to come in.